It's a squishy bunny pen. It was cute, and I bought it at Walgreens. It fit the theme of the channel, bunnies. As you can tell by the title of this video, I am going to be talking about some different cartoon bunnies and rabbits and such like that that I really like. A couple of these are anime. Most of these are just like cartoon, American cartoon style, bunnies and stuff like that, as you probably noticed just from the thumbnail. But I just kind of wanted to do this. One of the ideas I originally had when I first started the channel was doing a video about different, cartoon or fictional bunnies that I really liked, or that I love. Whether they've been stuff that's been with me since like my childhood in regards to some of these, or ones that are just newer in regards to some of the anime ones. So I just kind of wanted to do this video. There's no real order for these ones. They're just there. There's no real order based on like, oh, I love this one more than I love this one, but not as much as this one. There weren't that many of them that I was going to talk about. I mean, I debated about throwing in like, Peter Rabbit, or, The Velveteen Rabbit, which was a book I very much loved reading when I was a kid, because my grandparents had a copy of The Velveteen Rabbit that they had at their house, and I always liked just like sitting there and reading the book, because I always loved the idea of just like, you give a toy enough love that if a child gives a toy enough love, it becomes alive. And I guess Toy Story is kind of the embodiment of that concept, but still, I just always like that concept out of that book. But since this is coming up around Easter, and this is going to be going up, I think it's the week of Easter, I was going to do a brief history of the Easter Bunny, just because I debated about doing a whole video about the history of the Easter Bunny. I'm like, no, I don't want to do a whole video about that. But I just wanted to do like a brief history of that. So, kind of the concept of, the Easter Bunny, the Easter Rabbit, the Easter Hare, give or take your translation, is just a folklore figure and symbol of Easter, depicted as a rabbit, sometimes dressed with clothes, give or take, bringing, Easter eggs. Sometimes these Easter eggs would, of course, be candy. Sometimes they would be money. Sometimes they would, hatch into like chicks, as in like, like chicks, as in like a chicken. Other times they would hold, toys or stuff like that for the kids. And it originated among German Lutherans, and I am a Lutheran. I also happen to be probably a fair amount of German descent, but that's neither here nor there. That the Easter Hare originally was just like this role of a judge evaluating whether, children were good or disobedient in behavior. So kind of like the naughty and nice list for Santa Claus, but a rabbit instead. And, as part of the legend, the creature carries around colorful eggs and everything like that in a basket, and would, deliver them, would have candy and toys and stuff like that for the children. Sometimes money. I remember our grandparents would always put like a certain number of eggs that would have like quarters in them, and like they would hide them all over, their backyard for like all of us grandkids to go and like find. And then like, even no matter how many you found, that like the money still got like divided up evenly between all the grandkids. So that was always good. That was good. Kind of some of the first mentions of it were by, I'm gonna butcher this guy's names, George Frank von Frankenau, and his book De Ovis Libus. I apologize, I probably butchered that. It translates to, the book was called like About Easter Eggs, that came out in like 1682, and it was just kind of this German translation of like the Easter Hare bringing eggs. And such, and of course, the connections are, hares and rabbits tend to be used quite a bit as representations and imagery in ancient, in like medieval churches and stuff like that at the times, and they were widely believed by several authors and religious leaders that rabbits were kind of a hermaphroditic, which means that they have the features of both men and women, male and female of the species, and that the idea was that they could reproduce without loss of virginity, so they were like associated with the Virgin Mary. This is just kind of from Wikipedia, so if I have this wrong for people that are like experts on the Easter Bunny, I'm sure that there are some. I went to college to study about the Easter Bunny, and you got it wrong. I'm sorry, I didn't. And so they were like associated with like the Virgin Mary and everything like that. So they were usually used as like depictions of this, you know, with pictures of the, you know, the Virgin Mary and the Christ child and stuff. And then of course the eggs, of course, represent fertility. You know, eggs have always represented fertility. And, you know, also goes into kind of like the mentions of like, you know, the phoenix egg and stuff like that, where, you know, it dies and it's reborn, which goes into the whole Christ representation of like at Easter, of course, is when you celebrate the death and rebirth of Christ and everything between, you know, Lent and Easter and everything. So that was just always, you know, something that got tied in with that. And then since then, like, you know, I guess even if you don't celebrate like the Christian aspect of Easter, you can still do like, you know, give your kids, you know, giant chocolate bunnies for them to gobble down and then have to deal with for the rest of forever. You know, now the child's hyper. Oh God. So, you know, there was that and everything. You know, the bunny would hide the eggs and then the kids would go and find the eggs. General concept of that. So that was a brief history of the Easter Bunny, and now we're just going to move into the actual bunnies that I was going to talk about. But before that, I need bunny ears to make at least some of these. Good enough. I'll switch bunny ears throughout the video. I'm going to move back just a little so the bunny ears are all in frame. Oh, no, that doesn't work. That works. So the first one that I wanted to talk about is probably just one of the most favorite cartoon rabbits or bunnies that has ever existed, and that is, of course, Bugs Bunny from Warner Brothers. His official debut as Bugs Bunny himself was in 1940, and of course his, you know, general catchphrase is, you know, what's up, Doc? And Bugs Bunny does have a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. I think Daffy might as well, but I'm not sure. But of course, you know, Bugs Bunny has been around, you know, been a staple in cartoons for so long. There's been several different iterations of the way that they've portrayed Bugs. I love the Space Jam version, the original Space Jam version. I have watched the newer Space Jam, the A New Legacy one, and I mean, it wasn't horrible. I mean, I'd watch it again. I like some of the aspects that they go into it between, like, just like the relationships between like the tunes and stuff like that. I like how they did that and everything. And I like how they throw in references to the original Space Jam, which just makes it funny. So there's not really too much that goes on with that. I mean, I've loved Bugs for a long time. You know, just, you know, him being just so snarky to Elmer Fudd and just like everybody else that he has to deal with him and Yosemite Sam and all that, and just to Daffy, even though like Daffy's his best friend type of thing. And then of course tagging along with Bugs, we of course have Lola Bunny. I love Lola. I think I love Lola more than I love Bugs, specifically just based off the two Space Jam versions. I will go over the other one in a minute. But Lola was kind of created to be kind of, you know, the female, the girlfriend version for Bugs, kind of for the, you know, the 1996 Space Jam movie. And, yes, the 1969 Space Jam movie. You know, I don't know. I don't know who were the basketball stars of 1969. I don't know. That would have been an interesting one. That would have been interesting. But no, Lola was kind of created for Space Jam. And I mean, they had like other female rabbits that had popped up throughout like Looney Tunes history that were like different rabbits that kind of like, you know, caught Bugs' attention for like a little while. But the thing that they did with Lola and Space Jam, of course, was, you know, the "Don't ever call me doll," which I just love that. I always just love how she can just like keep Bugs on his toes and she's not going to take any of not going to take any flack from him, and I love that. And she just like, she can get him, she can have him wrapped around her little finger very easily. But I did not like what they did with the like, they had like a Looney Tunes show like in the like 2010s range that they like modernized it, which I didn't have a problem with the modernization with like, they're much more nowadays, and like Bugs and Daffy are roommates and everything. Most of the show I had no problem with. What they did with Lola, they made her a ditz. They made her this like, I get what I want, spoiled brat kid that was a ditz. And I just did not like what they did with Lola. And that was, I think, one of the main reasons I stopped watching, because they made Lola like obsessive with Bugs, and I just, and then I know that they did like an alteration to like her appearance a little bit in, the live act, the Space Jam: A New Legacy, and I think I went over this before in a different video. I think it was my Rabbit Devil Fruit video, but I did like what they did with that, because it's like, it's back to the original Lola. She went, and her thing is, I'm gonna go and be around the Amazons from Wonder Woman. And I love how she's like training to become an Amazon. And that's like where we see her in the movie, is like her training to become an Amazon, and she goes through this whole task. And then like she thinks she failed the task because Bugs is Bugs, and he like made her have to save him. My ears are falling. And like made her have to save him, and then she did save him, and then like she thought she failed, and then like Wonder Woman tells her, no, like your values are one thing, you're judged by your skills, yes, but also by your values. And I just love that. And like, so Lola is, she is an Amazon, and then she's told by Wonder Woman, now go and win this basket thing of games, balls, whatever. And like she goes off, and I do like how they do that with Lola throughout the movie. How again, she's not going to take any of Bugs' crap, but she's also just like, very much independent of Bugs. I've always loved that with Lola, and I did not like what they did with her in the like the 2010s ish animated one that they did. Next up, we're gonna go with, we got two Disney bunnies here. We're going to talk about Judy Hopps first, and she is, of course, from Zootopia, and she from 2016, and she is, of course, the bunny cop from Zootopia. I've talked quite a bit about Judy in the Zootopia review and in my Disney animal couples review, when I talk about her and Nick for their relationship. But I just like the fact that, like, Judy kind of shows like this up and down that the character goes through with, like, yes, I'm going to become a cop, and I'm so ready to be a cop, and I'm a meter maid, and then I got in trouble, and then all I'm stuck with is being a meter maid, and then I have to do this, and then I have to do that, and then I have to go deal with this fox again, and now I'm friends with a mafia mole, and now I'm a full-fledged police officer, but I messed up, and then I have to go apologize, and then, then I have to make my friend like me again, and like all this other stuff. And I love how they show that with Judy, and she's just adorable, and I love her, and I would love it if they did a Zootopia too. I don't think they will, but I would love it if they did that. Although I think I saw something about like a Zootopia on Netflix, but I don't remember if that was correct or not. Or not Netflix, on Disney Plus. I don't remember if I saw that or not. Thought I saw something about that, but I could be wrong. But yeah, I love Judy, and I love her relationship with Nick. And again, she doesn't take any of his crap. I've always, just like, I love Judy from the first time that I saw Zootopia. So let's put on a different pair of ears. Let's go with white. Okay, the next one on this list is another Disney bunny, and that is Roger Rabbit from, of course, 1989's Who Framed Roger Rabbit. From Who Framed Roger Rabbit, I've talked about, Roger Rabbit in the animated couples stuff, again, that I did for Disney around Valentine's Day when I talked about him and Jessica. I just love the fact that he's kind of like this classic cartoon character that is very much like, he knows Bugs and he knows Mickey and like all this other stuff, and like, he's just like a classically designed cartoon character, but then, he's just very much just like much more Toon World design or much more Toon Logic setup than Bugs or Mickey usually tend to go. I mean, like, Bugs and Mickey can go to those levels of, as over the top stuff as like what Roger does, but they don't tend to do that too often. And, you know, Roger tends to do that. And of course, I will point out the whole reference of, yes, I'm aware of what's going on in One Piece right now with Luffy basically kind of, I mean, him comparing him to like Roger Rabbit is not that big of a stretch. And the fact that like Roger loves to leave, you know, people laughing behind him. He loves to make people laugh. That's his, you know, mission in life, is to make people laugh and make them have fun and everything. And, you know, Luffy is kind of, you know, going about that right now because he's going to hopefully leave like a ton of smiles behind him in his wake with his new, you know, god powers. So maybe I can pull a video out about that at some, you know, something like that. I don't know. Maybe I can do that. We'll see. That might be a video of its own. But I like what they do. You know, I love Roger. I love his, you know, relationship with Jessica. I was like, he does not love her for her body, although I'm sure that that's possibly part of it, because, I mean, come on, she's Jessica Rabbit. But he also just, you know, he makes her laugh, and that's why she's with him, and I love that. Next up, we have Ester Bunnymend, who is from the Guardians of Childhood book series that started in, I think it started in 2011, and then like there was the movie The Rise of the Guardians that was in 2012. And he is, of course, voiced by Hugh Jackman, and he's kind of like an Australian bunny, giant bunny that has like boomerangs and like Easter eggs, and it's just hilarious. I do love the Rise of the Guardians movie. I think it was a great movie. I wish they could have done more with it. I just love the interactions that they show with the different characters and everything, and like how their like relationships kind of shift throughout the course of the movie as they like accept Jack and everything. And I just like Aster Bunnymend the entire time is just like, you know, oh my god, I am so stressed out right now over Easter. I love that. And I just find that hilarious. At some point, I might do a review of Rise of the Guardians. I might, like, maybe next year, I might do, like, some different Easter reviews of different movies that kind of are, you know, around Easter or whatever. One tradition my dad and I usually have when it comes to, like, near the end of Lent, we do usually tend to watch, you know, Jesus Christ Superstar. I don't think I'll do a review about Jesus Christ Superstar at any point in time, but I do still, you know, I really love the movie, and it's just one of the connection things that I get to have with my dad. But, you know, I do like Rise of the Guardians. I like how Aster, or like, you know, Bunnymend is just like, I have boomerangs and I have hole portals that I will use to teleport myself from one place to the other. That's just funny, and I love it. And then the next one we have is kind of in here more just because he's so much a part of my childhood, is Buster Baxter from Arthur, from the book series, and of course from the TV series. And I had to throw him in here because you know, Arthur, just the whole series just all finished up with its, you know, final season and its final episode and everything. And I like how they had Buster. I believe I have my notes say that he became a teacher. I think I had that correctly. And like, I wanted to go over the fact that like Buster was one of these cartoon characters that, you know, I mean, like, by the time they mention it in the series, like, it didn't affect me, but like Buster's parents were divorced. And I know nowadays, like, in different, you know, media, you know, yeah, they'll have different, like, you know, oh, like, this cartoon character's parents, like, yeah, they're divorced and stuff like that. They don't necessarily go into the reason why they're divorced, because sometimes that's not something that can go over in a kid's show. But, like, and I don't remember if they ever did anything where, like, it was explained why Buster's parents got divorced, but I know that, like, his dad was a pilot and that he was traveling a lot. And I guess, like, it was something to do with that, like, maybe just, like, Buster's parents just, like, you know, kind of, you know, the relationship didn't work very well, but like Buster's dad was still a big part of his life. And I know they had like a whole separate series where like Buster went and like traveled around with his dad and stuff like that. And, you know, Buster was also like, Buster was kind of the kid, like Buster didn't have dyslexia, but he just had a hard time reading. And I always adopted, you know, I know what that was like as a kid, where it's like, it's just hard for you to find something to read that you will like to read enough that you want to read the whole book. That sometimes like, oh, read this book for school, particularly when you're in the age group that like, you know, Buster and Arthur and stuff are in, where they're in like elementary school. Sometimes that's a hard thing to do. when you get into middle school and high school, sometimes it's a little bit easier. It's just like you have these required reading courses and stuff like that you have to do. But, you know, when you're like in elementary school, sometimes it's really hard to try to find a book that you want to put that huge amount of effort into to read. And like, I know that they had like a whole episode about that with Buster, like him trying one book and another book and another book and another book, and he just could not find one that he liked. And then he eventually did find one, and I think it was Robin Hood. But like they went over that with Buster, and then of course Buster was always like, he always had like the eating issues and stuff like that, and like I can understand that as well. You know, when it came to that for Buster. But like I like how they you know, I still technically need to watch like the final episode of Arthur just because I want to, and it's just like it was a big part of my childhood. And I will still do that. I just haven't yet. But you know, that's what I had for Buster. And then I got 2 more bunnies, and I'm going to switch out my ears again to my pink ones. My hair is going to be so staticky by the time I'm done with this video. So I got 2 more bunnies to go through. And one of them is Carrot from One Piece. She is on this poster because that's the Zunisha arc poster, the Zoe arc poster. And so I love Carrot. I got back into One Piece. I think I got back into One Piece during the time frame when they were doing like the Whole Cake Island arc. And then, or like sometime during the Whole Cake Island arc, I got back into One Piece. Because like I'd gotten out of it for a while, just I don't remember why, but I did. And then like I got back into it. And like now I'm like all caught up with the manga and like working my way through the English anime and stuff like that. Which I know is doing Totland now, so I need to work on getting that watched. But I loved Carrot, and I don't remember what it was exactly that got me back into One Piece, but like I got back into One Piece. I'm like, it's like Carrot is here and she's a rabbit, and I'm like, okay, you have my attention. She was introduced into One Piece in chapter 804, and that was back in 2015. She is a mink, and I love her Sulong form. It's so pretty. One of the reasons why I went with the Sailor Moon dressed as Wonder Woman shirt is because, you know, Sailor Moon is the moon rabbit. You know, Usagi is Bunny. So, for anybody that didn't know that, but, you know, I loved Carrot and the way that she interacts with like Luffy and the Straw Hats. I would love for Carrot to become a Straw Hat, but I have no idea if that's actually going to happen at this point in time. Probably not, unfortunately, but I would still like it. But, you know, it's just like Carrot was like a big help to them throughout, like, Whole Cake Island and everything, and we saw how, a little bit of her backstory with Pedro and everything, and she can of course use Electro, and she can be a very little sadistic bunny if she wants to when it comes to fighting her enemies, and just like, I'm just gonna straight up electrocute you. Help! And she just like, she goes through and like gets her whole awesome moment where she's just like, and I'm gonna rip off all of the steering wheels off of these boats after I go Sulong for the first time. And like she's, running around Wano and everything with like Wanda, and Nekomamushi at the moment, give or take when this video goes up. I don't know if we'll have like an exact answer for like where they are at this point in time, but we'll see. But I just love Carrot. I think she's great. I would love her to join the Straw Hats. Don't know if that'll happen. Probably going to be Yamato, but I wouldn't mind if both of them join. I don't know why both of them can't join. I think Yamato and Carrot would actually get along quite well, in all honesty. But we'll see what happens with that. And next up, we have our final bunny on this list, and that is Mirko / Rumi Usagiyama, which, if I think I remember, her name translates to, like, her last name is like Bunny Mountain, which just is like, okay, she's giant, she's a bunny. Mirko is, of course, the number 5 hero, or the last time they did the ranking, she was in the top 5. From My Hero Academia. She premiered in chapter 184 back in 2018. I really like Mirko. I just like her attitude. I like how, like, she's just being so awesome and badass during like the possible final battle, second war between them and, All for One's forces and everything. And it's like, I have mechanical appendage arm that I can just reload every time it gets like knocked away. Just like bigger weapon would be good. Same thing with like, I guess if her leg gets hurt, she could always just do the same thing with that. Like she probably has like replacements for like her legs too, if need be. If she ends up getting, it hurt again by Shigaraki. And in the anime, one of the first things I think we're going to end up seeing when the series comes back, when we get the next season, one of the first parts of that is literally going to be her breaking into the hospital to like, cause a huge amount of damage to the evil doctor and like all of his Nomu and everything like that. Like that's going to be one of the like the first big things that we see, I think, if I remember correctly, for the hospital invasion arc, when she attacks there. So we're going to get to see Mirko be awesome again, and I love her. We haven't seen too much of her in the anime so far. She like showed up to help like against Dobby, and then he just ran away. So I guess we'll see what happens with that. But like, she's got like this attitude of just like, no, I don't care what else you do. This is, I'm just going to go do whatever I want and be my own type of hero. So we'll see what happens with her. I don't want Mirko to die. She seems like she has the determination to not die, along with having the determination to probably still be a hero when, when all this is over. Unless she, like, I guess loses all 4 limbs, but I hope that doesn't happen. I don't want Mirko to lose all of her limbs. That would be bad. But I just love her. She's just fun. I kind of used her as just like, oh, this is kind of one of the variations of what you could look like for like the hybrid form for like the bunny fruit that I made up. Also kind of like Lola qualifies for that, as does Carrot, for like these bunny human hybrids. Not so much Judy, not so much Roger Rabbit, not so much Buster. But some of the other ones do kind of a little bit work for that. For like what would be a hybrid bunny and a human. So that's what I have for this. This was just kind of the Easter video I wanted to do, because I like rabbits, and I've always, I just wanted to do one of these rabbit ranking videos anyway. Bunny ears. Rabbit ranking videos anyway. So, well, not full on rankings, but just like, these are ones that I really love. There's other ones that I do like as well, but these were the main ones, because there's like Thumper from Bambi, and there's a few other ones, but I was just like, no, I don't want to talk about that many of them. We'll just go with these ones. So that's what I have. I thank you very much for watching. For those of you who celebrate Easter, I hope that you have a happy Easter. And for those of you who don't celebrate Easter, I wish you happy discount chocolate day after Easter. Or around Easter, because you can get a lot of good chocolate at that point. So, bye. A warrior is judged not only by her skills, but by her values. You are now an Amazon.